Good morning, Trinity. I'm Pastor Patrick, and by this point of the morning, you've probably heard a little bit about me from your call committee and elected leaders. I would much rather be there with you in person, but you know us pastors, we're kind of busy on Sundays. And so instead, they thought a brief introductory video would be really helpful for you to get to know me a little bit better. By the way, you have an excellent elected call committee. Tom Fiedler and his crew have done a stellar job in assessing the needs of the congregation, assessing the gifts and talents of potential candidates, and really moving this process forward quite quickly. They worked really well with Pastor Brian and also with the other elected leaders like James and his crew on the council to bring us to this moment that we are today. And I think that they deserve a big round of applause. Go ahead, I'll wait. Now, while this process focuses mainly on the candidate, myself, it involves a whole lot of different folks, including my family. My family has been very involved in the consideration, the discernment of this call, and are really supportive of where we're going. My wife and I have 3 children. Mary Beth is a social worker who works at East High School in Mankato. She loves her job and has been really helpful in removing the barriers to education that those kiddos run into. When we decided to move to Mankato, she got a master's degree in social work and always saw herself as going into counseling. We are thinking that that might be where the Spirit is leading now. My oldest son, Isaac, graduated from Gustavus Adolphus. He has been working for the YMCA of the Greater Twin Cities for a number of years and is currently up at a camp just south of the Boundary Waters. Camp de Nord has been part of our family history for almost 20 years. On an annual basis, we're up there enjoying nature together, and he has decided that that is the career path for him. We're hopeful that he can actually make enough money to have that happen. My daughter Claire is actually a student here in Eau Claire. She is in her final year with elementary education. She hopes to teach at the junior high level in the future. She is a really hard worker who's been living here all year round and has been working down at the Acoustic Cafe as a supervisor for the last couple of years. Our youngest son, Aaron, just graduated high school. Aaron is a quiet, thoughtful young man, great snowboarder, and between soccer and tennis and snowboarding, he's always been able to maintain his long flow. He's really excited about taking this next chapter of his education at St. Olaf in Northfield, Minnesota. So while you know a little bit about my family, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I wasn't always a pastor, and in fact, I wasn't always Lutheran. I was born in the Chippewa Falls area and actually spent the first 5 years of my life on Lake Wissota. Water has always been a very important aspect. Kind of like baptism, it gives me new life each and every time. So we spend a lot of time around the water. We boat, I paddleboard, those kinds of things give me a lot of life. But I was born actually as an Irish Catholic boy and spent my first years there on Lake Wissota before moving to Minnesota. When I got done with high school, I really wanted to be a bartender on a beach in Florida. So I moved to West Palm Beach, and there I stayed for 6 years. When I moved back from Minnesota, I actually started dating Mary Beth, and she was a senior at UW Stout in Menominee. We would play cribbage and have Bloody Marys down in the lower level of the Silver Dollar Saloon. That was a lot of our courting. I was In the corporate world back in those days, I had my own event marketing and public affairs company, and then went into experiential marketing in the residential construction industry. Had a great time, but really felt a sense of call to ministry. Each time I worked with those kiddos in Sunday school, I just felt this need to really expand my faith and to grow further that way. We moved from Chicago back to Luther Seminary with 3 small children in an apartment and stayed there for my entire time at seminary. Once I got out, I had this background in the corporate world, and so Christ the King in Mankato called me as their associate pastor for administration. After 7 years of doing that, they called me as their senior pastor, and I've been fortunate to do that for the last 5 years. Doing all of the ministry things often is stressful on a person and on a family. And so we do a lot of things to try and stay healthy. One of the things I have are some spiritual practices. I love to do yoga on a regular basis, which feeds my soul and my body. I do some centering prayer and also some spiritual direction. Those kinds of things help keep me centered so that I can serve the people whom I'm yoked with in a much healthier fashion. I encourage others to have the same kind of health on my staff and in my congregation. Now, this time that you have to consider whether or not I'm the right pastor for you is, again, very sacred and an important aspect of how we move forward. Trinity has a long and storied history within your synod, and we want to continue to build upon those strengths as we move into God's preferred future for Trinity. I pray that you can come to a clear decision and that hopefully I'll be meeting you all personally very soon. Thank you for considering me.